First off, just to sort of get us started, I guess, obviously we're not where we thought we would be at the beginning of the season. Throughout that process, though, I think that, again, we got to continue to stay vigilant at what we're trying to do here, playing a lot of young players, going through some injury, different things of that sort. So my basic viewpoint on things is we got to stay accountable as a team, stay accountable to each other. Got to continue to be upbeat and optimistic in terms of the next phase, or the next part of the program, the next game, the next week, whatever situation we're going through, and stay upbeat with that. And then we got to continue to be competitive, very competitive in everything that we try and do. Continue to try and work through this situation as we go forward, and go to Illinois this weekend for a 12 noon game, and we'll be ready to play. So I'll take some questions.
Mark, what do you want to see out of the defense in the next 4 weeks through this month? What do you still hope they can become this year?
Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to see good fundamentals. I mean, really, that's what you want to see. Fundamentals wins football games. You continue coaching it. We've got young guys playing. I look at statistically, Josh King has played 111 plays. If you can take yourself back, and some of us can, if you can take yourself back to college as a true freshman in your first semester, and think about yourself for a second and say, okay, now let's go out in front of 80,000 people and play, and let's play with a high motor and understand what to do, and execute at a very high level and play against a high level competitive football team. You can sort of sit there and think, well, am I really going to be ready for this? Austin Robertson's played 46 plays. I think Panasuk's played 95 plays. You've got some other guys who played a lot of plays up front and at various different places. I think Chris Fry might be the guy with the most reps. Maybe he has 580 reps. But what I need to see, or what I would like to see, is good fundamentals. We're coaching fundamentally, as we always have. Got to be able to take that to the field in a very chaotic situation, whether it's a no-huddle offense or whether it's a 3rd and 2 situation or a goal line situation or whatever it is. But you got to be able to take that and apply that at game time, and that's easier said than done.
And you talked about accountability and competitiveness. Is there any talk at this point about the possibility of winning 4 straight, making a bowl game, or do you keep it kind of narrow right now on what these guys are focusing on?
I think our focus right now is one focus. Let's get ourselves ready to play. Every week we've come ready to play. I don't think there's one week where we've come out and we're flat or anything like that. We've played. We've been ahead. We've got to maintain that energy, that enthusiasm, and cannot go this way when something negative happens to us. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. I've said it for 6 weeks. It's going to happen in life. But you got to maintain and be vigilant. I don't know any other way to say it. That's how I'm built. That's how we're going to be built here. And we're going to continue to push through these things. There's a lot of people across the country, or in professional sports or college sports or high school sports, that are not having success. They got to continue to push through. That's my message to everybody out there. And continue to try and refine it, critique it, fix it. If you can't fix it, change it. Things of that nature.
Mark, we talked about it over the weekend with the quarterback situation. You have 2 guys listed right now. Do you envision a situation with 3? I mean, I guess how have you?
No, not with 3. Not right now.
And I guess right now with those 2 guys, I mean, they've both been banged up, and we've seen that over the course of the last few weeks. How critical, I guess, for them is it to get these reps over the last few years, especially Damian coming back next year?
Yeah, it's very important for them to get reps, not only in game reps. Obviously, that's the most important, but practice reps as well. Got to remain healthy. So again, you're in a catch-22 situation a little bit in terms of how you practice, so we have to remain healthy. Our plans are not to take the red shirt off of Messiah to Weaver, but you never know what's going to happen. And as I said earlier, Kohler Coons is a non-scholarship guy, but he's been in our system and he knows our system. So there's a possibility of him as well. So we'll see how it all shakes out based on practice this week. But going to try and win football game. That's our focus. That's where we're at right now. And then after that, we're going to try and win another one. And we're going to finish this thing.
Mark, are you at a point where you're done taking red shirts off guys unless it's absolute don't have a choice situation? And if it comes down to the last couple of games and you think, well, a guy might be able to do something, but you're not sure, would you do that or not?
I think, I never say never, because you don't know what's the next thing that we're going to have to deal with. But at this point, it's highly unlikely that we would take a red shirt off a guy. I think it's highly unlikely. We'll try not to, let's put it that way, with 4 games left, maybe 5. We'll see.
Mark, talked a little bit about, after the game, about how Donnie Corley is playing some defensive back now. You've had Justin Lane make that switch. Is it easier for freshmen to make that switch because they really don't know everything they would have needed to know on the offensive side?
Both those guys played corner in high school. That's their level of experience. Both those guys are great athletes. They have size to them. They can change direction. They have some toughness. They've got excellent ball skills and deep ball judgment, and they can run. And so we had some injuries. We had some different things going on. So we tried Justin in there. And then this past week, I felt like Donnie Corley, we've been saying all along that we would give him an opportunity to play on that side of the ball. And I felt like that was a game that could be warranted in. We got to get him practice time. It's very difficult to get him practice time on both sides of the ball. You struggle with that during the season, but it's been done before. We've done it before, so we're working towards it. But he's got to be able to play fundamentally sound out there as well, and that's there's different coverages. And again, as I go back and I say, okay, you're a freshman, regardless of your level of ability, you're still a freshman, and there's a lot of things going on out there in terms of coverages changing based on sets, motions, things of that nature, squeeze sets or bunched up sets, things of that nature, and how to play those. So you learn a little bit on the job training a little bit, but he did some good things. We'll keep working him. He played 8 plays on defense.
Mark, as solid as your foundation has been, nothing divides a team like losing. Yet there's only so much you can do as a coach. How do you keep that from filtering in, or do you have to rely on your soldiers to keep that from happening?
Well, you hit on exactly the right word, soldiers. We need soldiers that keep marching. And we've always had good chemistry here. That will be maintained. Structure will be maintained. Order will be maintained. And a competitive environment will be maintained. Everybody has future goals, whether that's a freshman, what he's trying to accomplish, getting to that next step in his journey here as a football player, or whether that's a senior outgoing with hopes of playing at the next level, or whether it's a senior moving into his last month and a half of football. All of us have future goals, and we need to keep our eye on those goals and maintain the focus that we have in order to accomplish those goals. If you don't concentrate on the present, then your future goals are going to fade away on you too. And I think that's basis for all of us. So we'll continue to focus on that.
Mark, is it any different trying to evaluate all the young guys you're playing when things aren't going so well as opposed to on a winning streak?
Yeah, it's I guess when you're winning, you're not playing probably as many freshmen. You're not pulling them out of mid-year. You're not getting, usually when you're winning, you're not having injuries. There's just things just sort of roll, and but I think it's harder to evaluate them in this type of situation, certainly, because you're a little bit you're grabbing people and putting them in there rather maybe before they're quite ready. So it's a little bit on the job training. We didn't anticipate taking the red shirt off of Joe Bocci, but with the injuries that have occurred, we had to. So we did it, and I think he'll be a better player for it. But I think he'll be a very, very good player for us. But it was not the plan to take that red shirt off of him.
Mark, kind of along those lines, guys like Joe who have had the red shirt taken off but haven't maybe played as many snaps as Josh King, Austin Robertson, do you have to make kind of an effort to play them more in the last couple of games just to justify, I guess, burning that red shirt, or is that not part of the consideration?
Well, he's playing on special teams. He's showing up on the special teams. That's number one. And then he did play last week as well on the field. So that's number two. But ultimately, the bottom line is you got to play well enough to win. And our goal is to win. And we're not going to say, well, let's play these guys and worry about winning later. Our goal is still to win.
Mark, looking back at the offensive line performance, you guys were able to run the ball, especially late with Cody out and with Chewins in there. I know you're throwing a little more, but I guess along the line, what is the difference that's allowed them to, I guess, put forth the run blocking that they've had this past few weeks?
I think we're getting. I think LJ's been good. First of all, I think that Holmes has had some moments as well along the way, but I think our blocking, inline blocking, has been solid. We're creating creases, and then on the edge, our tight ends as well and our fullbacks. I think Prescott Line is a very underrated guy. He gets on people. If you watch the film, he gets on people and he creates a dent, and he's been very solid.
Mark, kind of along those lines, I was going to ask you about LJ. Do you see a little difference in him the last few weeks, whether he's running harder, seeing things better, and then also his pass blocking? How is he progressing there?
As a pass blocker, those guys, all of those guys need to do a better job. I don't think that they fit up on, when they had to block a defensive lineman this week, they needed to be better, and that created pressure. When the protection dictated that they had to take care of a defensive end, they need to be more effective. Linebackers, they seem to be okay picking the blitz up when they came. But as a running back, I mean, he's doing the things that we always thought he would be doing. I think he's in sync right now. I guess he ran the ball 22 times. Holmes ran it 6 times. So, I think he's doing a nice job. I think he's ready to go. We'll see how he goes this week. Hopefully he's right in the groove.
Mark, 2 questions. I'll give you one at a time. Donnie Corley,
Finally got a smile out of me.
on defense, offense, that balance moving forward in his career, have you begun to assess that? Do you see him playing both throughout his time? Is that?
No, I really see him being a lot like Tony Lippett in a lot of ways, understanding everything defensively to be able to put him in there when we need him. But I think he's got a big upside as a wide receiver, can make a lot of plays. So I think his home is at wide receiver, and then he has to transition to corner as we go. But I think there'll be opportunities to do that for him. And like I said, when I was at Ohio State, the most Chris Gamble ever played was, he played 113 plays one game. But he was over 100, 6 games in a row. So it can be done. Lippett has played a lot of plays in the past too, and now he's starting in the NFL as a corner, I think in his second year. So it can be done. I think there's an upside to it, and whether Lane stays over there or not will depend on how others come and on both sides of the ball. But we're going to get our best guys playing, and that's my goal and my challenge all the time is get your best players playing and allow them to have opportunities that allow them to flourish.
Second question, what the defense was able to do in the second half against Michigan, the second straight week of the offensive line having that sort of push, is there a measure of confidence that's been gained? And as you look at, some of us, I thought it was going to be a blowout, for example, and with the way you look at the rest of the month, Ohio State, things like that, is there a little more confidence going into the rest of the month in those 2 spots?
I'll say it again. I think we've had an opportunity to win every single game that we've played. We've been in every game we've played, so those are the expectations. And I'm not going to a game saying, well, I don't think we got a chance to win that game. I thought we had a chance to win against U of M this last week. We didn't. They have a good football team. We need to be error-free, as I've said the other night, and we weren't. As far as how we played defensively, I thought we played better, but we gave up a big third down play, and we gave up a couple big chunk plays that especially this disappointing is coming off the 2-yard line. Because if we can keep them down there, we're right back at them. We're right back at them on, from the 50 on in, if we can just keep them down there. So we got to continue to play more fundamentally sound. Got to make plays, and that's the nature of it. When you look at our football teams in the last 3 years previous, we're plus 43 turnover margin, plus 43. That is a lot of turnovers. beyond what an opponent gets from us. When you look at our sack ratio or sack numbers, the last three previous years, and last year we had 37, 116 in 3 years. So the production in sacks is not there, 11 right now. So we've got to get that. We've got to get a better pass rush. We've got to play better in taking the ball away from teams. I don't think we've given the ball a lot to teams. We've not had a lot of turnovers, but we've not gotten them. And you work on them, and you try and pull the ball out in practice, and you do all kinds of different drills, but sometimes it just rains, and sometimes there's a drought. And sometimes it's just the way it rolls sometimes. But we've not gotten the turnovers. For the last 3 previous years, we've led the Big Ten in the turnover ratio department. So you could basically say Michigan State, with the plus 43, was number 1 in the Big Ten for 3 consecutive years. That hasn't happened this year. You see the result of that. Last year we were 6-1 in games decided by 1 or less scores. Right now that's not occurring. Got to make plays down the stretch in the fourth quarter. So there's answers to all of our problems. What we have to do is identify the answers to the questions and then change and get back to what we were doing. And a lot of it, and some of it, is experience. Even at our quarterback position, we lost a guy that is quarterback for 3 years, and even though we have a fifth-year senior who knows our system, he's in a lot of different situations for the first time. And Damian Terry, same, and certainly Brian Lewerke, the same. So the quarterback position is a little bit in flux there, I would say. When your quarterback situation's in flux, whether it's due to injury or production, there's going to be inconsistency. And you can go into every position like that. But in these times of turmoil, I guess, we need to recollect ourselves and I think continue to push forward and understand that we'll come out the other side. As long as we stay optimistic and vigilant, upbeat, keep coaching, be optimistic, be accountable, we come out the other side. And that's my job.
Mark, I apologize if you already answered this question, but how challenging is it for you to stay focused and keep moving forward with this team and not necessarily look back and second guess yourself?
Oh, you're going to second guess yourself. Every time you watch the film, you're going to second guess yourself. But that's human nature. Hindsight's 20/20. So, all I can do, I can second guess myself and have some do-overs, make a do-over list, some people might do. But at the end of it, you have to deal with what's gone down. And sometimes we've had to deal with good things, and we've been, the benefit of some good things. But you got to, you say, hey, fooled them again, we won. Maybe we shouldn't have won, but we won. Right now, we've got to deal with the other way. So, but how am I handling it?
You and your team, just moving forward and looking, I guess, to the future and the final 4 games you got this season.
Well, as I open this thing, we've had energy every game. If we come out without energy, if we come out just not doing anything, I would assume that things aren't going well. But we've come out, I don't know how many different series we've gone down the field and driven the length of the field and scored on the first series. Or, we jump out at 14-0 against Northwestern or whatever it is. So we come out, we have good practices, we've remained together. I come to this press conference every week. Okay, so keep moving.
Mark, this is not a 2-part question, it's 2 questions.
I appreciate that.
Can you get more out of Malik McDowell? I only ask not to single him out, but because he's a preseason All-American and just hasn't been as visible as many thought.
I think all of us can do better. I think all of us can do better. And I'm never going to point fingers at anybody and say this is this guy's fault or this is that guy's fault. Collectively, we need to be accountable, and we can all do better. I can do better. We can make better calls. We can play better fundamentally, up front, in the back end, at linebacker, wherever it's at. So.
Secondly, I remember you standing on top of the mountain in Pasadena and a couple of times in Dallas.
Yeah, I saw that picture coming in. It's nice. You guys ought to look at that going out.
But when you were standing there, I remember you saying it's not always going to be like this.
Yeah.
Still the same. Were you ever prepared for this 6-week nightmare?
No. No, I was never prepared for it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And but I don't think you prepare for that. My goals are not to be there. I think, though, that what I have experienced in my lifetime as a person and in my lifetime as a coach prepares you for these times. And you better be at your best when these times occur. So that's what I'm going to continually try and do. I'm not going to try, I'm going to be at my best. I'm going to answer questions straight up. I'm not going to try not to dodge things. I'm going to try and be there for our football team, for our players. So that's what I think you have to do. You know, nothing prepares you for the downsides of life, but you go through them and you know, hopefully it strengthens you. But I've been, you know, at Youngstown State, we were 1-9, I think, won our last game. They won numerous national championships after that. So,
Kind of alluding to those levels, I mean, you've been there here as well. I mean, 09 and 12 fighting for a bowl game. What kind of lessons do you take from those couple of years where you had to fight for the bowl game and keep those guys, I guess, sharpened enough to know that they could still get to the postseason? And how critical is the postseason with so many young players having that practice time?
well, the postseason is critical because it's just an opportunity to move forward, pulls you out of something. But we're one game at a time to get there. You know, I recognize that, so that's our focus. You know, our one focus has to be that. As far as, and you threw about 3 questions at me, and didn't tell me it was going to be a 3-part question. So what were the other questions?
How critical is for the young guys to get that extra practice?
Well, it takes 10,000 hours to be an expert. That's what I feel. Okay, so when I say Josh King's played 111 plays, he's probably had, you know, 1,000 in camp, maybe, let's say, over a period of practice and in camp, but he's not there yet. Or somebody else, I just threw out his name. They're not there yet. When you look at Michigan, they got, you know, 19 out of the 22 guys that started the game were seniors. So in 2013, you know, it was a little bit different. But that's how players grow up. And that's how players get fundamentally sound, by doing things over and over and over. And that's what has to happen. But their attitude is good. As long as they continue to press forward, they're going to be fine. They're going to be very good players. They're athletic and they have talent. You know, but it's chaotic on the field right now at times for them.
Mark, regarding the hit Chris Fry took on Saturday, I had 2 questions. First of all, did you raise that with the Big Ten at all as to
Yes.
why that wasn't targeting? Can you share any response that you guys got?
I think that would be the Big Ten's position to share that, not mine.
Okay. And then secondly, on Sunday, you said that you assumed that he went through the protocol before he got back in, and we just wondered.
Well, I
if
know
you
he
found
went through
that
the
out.
protocol
You know,
because everybody always does. I mean, Dr. Kaufman is a leading neurologist that's on our sideline. He's not up in a box, he's on our sideline. So our players who have any evidence of a concussion or take any kind of big hit, they immediately see him. They have baseline tests that they must go through based on their past histories and things of that nature. So they've gone through the protocol. I was not even aware that he had taken a hit in the head until it was shown to me at halftime. I think it was at halftime it was shown to me. So, real quick. So, you know, the protocol was met by our trainers and by our doctors, and he showed no symptoms of anything, and still does. He's got a sore neck, but he has, you know, he's been cleared and fine. Okay. Yeah, sure, one more.
On that, just, is there, because we talked about Malik's targeting call, is there any recourse to go back over the tape and issue something post the tape for someone that?
Yeah, that's amazing to me. If you want to look at the different targeting calls that are out there, you guys are the reporters, you guys do the work.
Is that something that you think going into the offseason with the coaches meetings that you guys need to talk about, especially if it's...
I'll look forward to seeing that at the coaches meeting, yes. I think those are in-house discussions, though. Thanks, guys.